Welcome to MalcolmPresents.com and my show with Deborah. It's called Conversations with Deborah, a bi-coastal dialogue with my friend Deborah Manning. And of course, I'm Malcolm Berman, and Deborah, good morning or good afternoon.
Deborah, good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. Black Friday it is, right after Thanksgiving.
Why do they call it Black Friday?
I don't know. I never understood that. In fact, at this point right now, I mean, I could make a joke about it being racially profiling, but I don't know. I always kind of liked Black Friday. It was a lot of fun.
Well, that's the I mean, the problem is also, not talking about racial profiling, but black has always been negative.
I know. Well, it's funny because, for example, we have two black cats. Actually, three. We've got a tuxedo cat, which is Sylvester, black and white, obviously. And then we've got Smitty, and then we've got Max. So the least popular cat in the world seems to be these black cats. And I don't get it. They're great. They're wonderful cats.
Actually, black cats are my favorite. It's good luck when a black cat crosses my path.
I have to say the same thing. The two of our black cats are unbelievable personalities about things. They really are.
And the first pet I owned was when I was living in Greenwich Village. I had a black Siamese cat.
Oh my, that's very unusual.
Which I called Pandemonium.
Pandemonium, very nice.
Or the nickname was Pandy, but
I like it.
But when we left, I mean, I don't know if you know Siamese, how they meow. It's like a baby.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's almost like a baby crying.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I say, I'm Deborah Manning. I've known Malcolm for years and years and years. Used to be a news reporter in Southern California.
Didn't you come to my bar mitzvah? I don't remember.
I wish that would have been something. But I'm a former news reporter, and Malcolm and I do this conversation because while I'm an independent voter, I do tend to be more of a conservative, and of course, Malcolm is more of a liberal. But we need to find some common ground here.
Definitely.
And we do find it. We have disagreements. But I have to tell you, I think my topic for today, right after Thanksgiving, I'm very thankful that we came to South Carolina. My husband and our two cats at the time, we came out of Southern California 6 years ago. And it's been quite an education for me, being a University of Southern California graduate, la-di-da, blah, blah, blah. Coming into South Carolina was quite an education of of working people, of working class values, salt of the earth Americana. It's just been very interesting. It's been a great education for me to be able to see the New South, and it truly is the New South. And we've been very, very content here. And as we celebrated our 6th Thanksgiving, both my husband and I looked at each other and went, "Cheers. We have made it, and we enjoy it, and we are very, very thankful to be where we are." So I understand you spent Thanksgiving alone, not by choice, but tell me a little bit about it.
Oh, my wife, as you know, is from El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
And I live over here with my wife. My mother-in-law moved in, which was great. I mean, she's a great person.
Nice.
And I have 2 children. Well, one moved out and one still lives here. So, but we have a 3-bedroom apartment.
Nice.
I don't know why she chose to go back, but she hasn't been back in 35 years since she left.
Wow.
I think part of the reason why, I don't know if it happened before or after, but she has an aunt, Tia Columba, who had passed away.
Oh my!
Well, before that, but she was having Alzheimer, and she wasn't her Tia anymore. Yeah. But anyway, we're in that. I guess that time she sort of got feeling, missing home. The relatives that she left there. She still has a lot of relatives there, not necessarily the close ones. I think it's one aunt, but a lot of cousins.
There you go.
And she just got nostalgic to go back.
Well, it's funny this time of year as we're coming into winter time. And it's funny because I was talking to my husband. His nickname is Fish. His name is Michael Fish Fisher. He's an artist called Fish, and we were talking about beginning a little, getting reminiscent and remembering the times past and Thanksgivings past and what have you. That's the time of year that we have right now, a time of reflection. And it's interesting because the age that both of us are, and I'm certainly not going to reveal mine, but it's a time of thankfulness, but also of thinking about the times that we lived through. I am so glad that I am the age that I am, because we grew up in very interesting times. For example, the 60s with the anti-war movement and what have you, and then the stagflation of the 1970s. And then of course the Reagan years in the 80s. It's an interesting time right now. And I do mourn the fact that I get more and more concerned. We need a two-party system, Malcolm. And I'm very concerned about the trend of the Democrats going more and more towards this socialism bent. And we need the two parties. We need the yin and the yang. We need to have different ideas from different sides. But at this point right now, I mean, Biden got on the phone during the Macy's Day Parade, and Al Roker from the Today Show asked him the question, what message would you like to deliver to America? And President Biden said that America is back. Well, it may be back for some people, and maybe rich people it's back, but for many of us, and that's myself included, because we're on a very fixed income at this point, thanks to the COVID pandemic, we had to shut down our business, only a two-person business while we did handyman work. But that being what it is, I mean, we have to be very, very careful about the money that we spend. And I don't know that America is back right now, not with this inflation. We filled up our car. We're down to one tank full per month. And we generally were able to fill up our car in the good times for about 16 bucks. In the so-so times, about a year ago, 2021, we had to fill our car up. It was $36, almost $37. Now, $17 may not be a lot for a lot of people, but we're ordinary folks. We're ordinary Americans, as are you. $17 is a lot of money.
That's a cup of coffee and a donut over at Starbucks.
We don't go to Starbucks anymore, my friend. I don't know about you,
but I don't know. I think no matter what time that you lived, if you truly lived at that period and got involved, was an interesting period. You know, I don't know if there's any period that you know, I could go live that just, oh gee, it was boring to be alive. I mean,
really?
I mean now, you know the going into the year 2000. You know, can you imagine the turn of the century? And people who had that going into the 1900s.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, you know, my boys were born in 1995 and 1996. They really never had to write the year. You know, 19 whatever. It's always, you know, when they started doing letters or correspondence, it was always 20.
Yeah.
And you know, it's an exciting period. There's an exciting period now with communications with you know, what we're doing now on Facebook. You're in South Carolina. I'm in Los Angeles. My wife was in El Salvador. We spoke on Facebook Messenger. So I could talk to her and see her like I'm doing like this. I remember the times when I had to call up Europe when I was a teenager or 20s, where we called up an overseas operator.
Yes.
And they got back to us maybe an hour or two later. Now I called up a friend I think I mentioned this the other day, and he said, "Oh, I'm having dinner now." I said, "How are you having dinner?" He was in Scotland.
There you go.
I didn't know. I called him directly. You know, he lives in New Jersey, but he's in Scotland.
Yep.
So it's really exciting times. And going back to you know, our finances, we have no choice. What he is doing now, or the Build Back Better, we have no choice, because as you say, there's a whole group of people that aren't doing well. And there's a whole group of people that has to be helped. So I don't know what socialism is. If socialism is helping citizens, gain, financial success, then I believe in socialism.
Well, I don't think that is socialism. America has always been very generous between charities and government help and what have you. I think the rub is really coming in that you see, and it was bad optics. President Biden going to the Hamptons, a $30 million, billion dollar businessman, his estate. And it's bad optics.
But going back, what is socialism? Is socialism giving parents a tax break for children? Is socialism, and it is. Is socialism taking care of children, and guaranteeing, preschool? That's socialism. Is socialism giving the
No. I mean, that's where we
that's
have
socialism.
No, but that's where we have a lot in common. I do think that there needs to be some sort of assistance on things. I think the rub comes in that we don't tie a lot of this to work. For example, a lot of the back in the 90s with President Clinton, he tied welfare to working. And whether that work be being a nuclear scientist or picking up trash, it is nonetheless work. And Americans are hard workers. Where we start to draw the line is that when you have people that are not working and not participating in the productivity of the nation, that's where a lot of hardworking people really get upset. I mean, I've worked all my life since I was 13 years old. So, I mean, and probably you as well.
My first job, I remember I was 14, I couldn't get working papers. And it was like the summertime, and I worked at, well, it's a funny story because I worked in a drugstore pharmacy down the block from me. And it was supposed to be it was $1 a day.
Okay.
And what I did was deliver orders. All I would do is stay in the store when an order came in, pharmacy order, or drugs or a prescription, I would deliver it. I worked half a day, when I got into the store. And I sat down, and the pharmacist said, or the owner said, "Oh, yeah, I don't have an order now. Here, do some dusting." And he had me do dusting. Then he said, "Oh, you finished with the dusting? Okay, go fill in this part of the shelf needs more product." So
but that's productive work. That is
no. But then at the end of the when I went out to lunch and I came back, I said, "I'm not supposed to be working in the store. I'm supposed to be delivering." Basically it was for tips.
Yeah.
And I come back and I said, I'm not going to mention his name because probably, I mean, he's not alive now, but people probably remember him. But I say, "Excuse me, sir, but I'm here to deliver, not to work in the store, and do sweeping and things like that." He said, "Okay, forget about it. You're fired."
Oh, geez.
So I said, okay, give me half $1. I worked half a day. And he did.
Well, I mean, you also learned an important lesson there in terms of manners and in terms of being grateful.
Yeah. But going back, I get confused what socialism is. Is socialism, they say, is socialism unionism? Is socialism where the unions can tell the owners or negotiate with the owners for wages? Is it that's a form of socialism?
I understand that, but I think what the problem at this point right now is, let's take the situation where we were less than a year ago energy independent. And at this point right now, when President Biden says America is back, we're not back. The problem at this point right now is that with him shutting down all of our ability to produce our own oil, which we have plenty of, suddenly we're now begging OPEC, who's no friend of ours. We're begging Russia, whom we allowed this pipeline to go through to Germany, and we're begging China. These are not particularly friendly people to us. And the problem at this point is that normal everyday people are feeling this directly. Now, the rich could care less about that. So bottom line is, and you and I have disagreements in terms of climate change, what have you, but both of us have agreed on the fact that we need to go ahead and proceed on eliminating the pollution. And I agree with that, but you can't do it overnight by shutting down your energy independence. It is killing us. It's killing us.
Well, number one, I don't think we're doing it overnight, but there has to be the one word that you miss out, transition. There has to be a transition, because it's the fossil fuel is endangering our planet, and you can't gradually change. You almost have to, give in electroshocks.
But you've got to have the technology to be able to do it. We don't have the technology. For example, I was thinking seriously about getting solar panels. And the more I read into solar panels, you realize that much of the solar panel material actually goes bad within a 5 to 7 year period of time. So I'd have to replace the solar panels. Fine. But then how do you go ahead and recycle those puppy dogs? It's very difficult. Interestingly enough, many of the chemicals and the materials that go into producing solar panels are coming from where? Guess what? China again. China has already made it very evident to us and very clear to us that they want to become the dominant nation in the world by 2035. Well, that kind of concerns me a little bit. They're not exactly the friendliest folks.
I know. Well, didn't we at one time wanted to become the dominant nation after the end of World War II?
Well, let me remind you that we do have freedoms, and we do want to have people free and productive, versus China, who would like to have, and they have authorized slavery. They're doing it on a regular basis. Plus the fact, once again, they're a communist country, a communist party.
Well, then they're the Communist Party as a government, but economically they're capitalists. But no one ever talks about that. There's so much.
Problem is that the Communist Party, once again, they violate capitalism by having the state owning all of the means of production, and that's part.
They don't necessarily. There are capitalists that in China, the companies that are owned by individuals. I don't think everything is state owned.
Name one. The state, in fact, is participating in each and every one of those countries. And the only reason I happen to know about that is my late husband and I, Tom, went overseas, and we spent quite a bit of time in Hong Kong. We were invited to go to China, which we declined after we really found out precisely what was going on. Once again, the CCP wants to have their fingers in each and every one of the corporations, and that is not exactly what I want to see happen.
But yeah, you have to credit China with doing things. I know people who have business. Well, actually, I do know people who have businesses, small business in China, who happen to be Americans. But I mean, they built cities there. I mean, I think they have like 40 new cities in the last 20 years that have just popped up. We can't do anything. We just had this whole thing about infrastructure, because our bridges are falling down, or our buildings are deteriorating, and we're not doing anything about it.
And the problem is, why are we not doing anything about it? In many cases, it's because we are overly regulated, and we're starting to get rid of that overregulation with the last administration, the Trump administration. But now we've reimposed that regulation. So, I mean, the infrastructure has been signed, sealed, and delivered to President Biden. However, the period of time is going to take to actually get this taken care of because of regulations.
It's not.
It could be 5, 6, 7, 10 years. I mean, come on, Malcolm. Shovel ready. Remember that phrase in Obama? And I was stupid enough to believe him. I really was. I voted for him. I was stupid enough to believe it, but it wasn't shovel ready. It was a lie. It was this utopia dream of his. And that's what really concerns me. People are turning away from the Democratic Party. I mean, you've got a VP that now has 28% approval rate. Joe Biden's approval rate is starting to go under 40%. People are saying, wait a minute, something's wrong here.
But a problem is Number one, because they say, oh, the Democrats have a majority. Yeah, majority of what? In the House of Representatives, they have 5 as a majority. In the Senate, it's even 50-50, but there's the vice president can turn it. The problem is that there's really not a majority. We say there is. The only benefit that we have for the majority is that we have the Speaker of the House and the what's it in the Senate.
Yeah. But the problem at this point right now is the American public is starting to turn away from the Democratic Party. I find that I get very concerned about that, because in my day, the Democrats and the Republicans would squabble like cats and dogs on the Capitol floor, but then would go out to lunch together and they could work out their differences on a person-to-person basis. But we don't have that anymore. The American people at this point are saying enough is enough. We're being impacted directly. And when he said people under $450,000 worth of income are not going to be impacted, I'm sorry, that's baloney.
Well, I think the number was if it made over 250,000, between that 250 and the $450,000, you would be increased by $300 a year, which is relatively nothing.
We don't listen, you and me don't make anything close to that. You and me are being impacted.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, you are too. You know it. You know it.
Speaking about that, if any of you guys are out there, are entrepreneurs or have products to sell, we're available. We are not communists. We are entrepreneurs looking to create a video platform, a roaming platform.
Absolutely.
And if you're out there or have any friends, let them know about our show.
Well, it is interesting. I do buy quite a bit from QVC, and QVC is very interesting in that so far as they really do seek out not young, but entrepreneurs of all ages. And there's all kinds of different products that are being developed, especially now. So your call to action is very appropriate right now, Malcolm. Very appropriate.
I mean, despite, again, I have to admit, I am a senior citizen. You can tell by my grayish hair, but there's hope for the future. And I think there's a great hope. I see a much greater hope now, even with the Biden's approval. Number one, I don't necessarily care what the masses think. Yeah, it's important for elections and this and that, but I think it was Thomas Jefferson. I don't know who. I'm not sure. I credit to Thomas Jefferson. We said the masses are the asses. If parts of our Constitution is a guarantee that the masses won't take over, that the minorities will have a voice. Because you cannot pass a law that's unconstitutional, no matter how many people.
Let's remind everybody that the vaccine mandate, and incidentally, both you and I are vaccinated plus boosters, but the vaccine mandate has been ruled as being unconstitutional in various states. However, the president, as well as his spokesperson, Jen Psaki, continues to say, "Fun good to you. Go ahead, have everybody go ahead and be vaccinated. Otherwise, they lose their jobs." Now, once again, I understand when you say the asses are the masses and the masses are the asses. Fine. But once again, we are a republic, and as a republic, we need to be able to make sure that the bulk of the laws that are going through are in fact going to help a majority of the people, not simply the rich. And I'm very, very concerned at this point with the inflation situation. I'm very concerned about, for example, this crime situation that's taken place.
I am also, yeah.
The Wisconsin parade, where the guy came through with the SUV and deliberately mowed down, and now we have 7 dead people mowed down, and yet he has had a career of violent behavior, and yet he was let out 7 days before on $1,000 worth of bail. Now, you and I have had discussions about no cash bail, but it's, once again, I'm not understanding how you can go ahead and say, because of this wonderful ideal, that in fact the attorney general in that state said, sure, we're going to have some people killed, but that's the way it goes.
Well, I'm here, the attorney general, but most people have said that was a mistake, based on his former record and his mental instability. He should not have been out, out on $1,000 bail.
But he is not. He is one of many at this point now.
But basically, it is, if you commit a crime, the legal system, number one, is unfair. The legal system is against the poor. It's against the Black. It's against the minorities.
I don't agree with that.
When you have, in cities where, that's maybe 10, 20%, African American, and the prison system has 60% of African Americans in prison. If you have money, you can hire attorneys.
What do you think the key to all of that is? My solution is called education. And I think you need to have basic education to be able to train individuals, regardless of their color, making sure that they can go ahead and support themselves and their families. I don't support a welfare system that drives away the male member of the family in order for the female member to increase the amount of welfare.
But have you heard of this thing that President Biden is trying to put through? It's called Build Back Better. Do you know
the Build Back broke? Yeah, go ahead.
It's education. What does it stress? It stresses the child to be educated. It's been proven that children who have pre-kindergarten classes do better.
That's great. The only problem that I can see about it is this. I am very, very concerned with the situation with the teachers union, pretending that they're not teaching the fact that your skin color is the most important thing to you, rather than your achievements. It's not the most important thing. America was built on the fact that regardless of your skin color, that you have opportunity. That is why people are coming up from the South, from our southern border, to get opportunity.
Wait, if you're an originalist on the Constitution.
I'm not an originalist. I'm at this point right now.
You couldn't vote if you were a woman or you were Black.
But once again, changes have been made. It was started back in 1776. There was changes made in 1860. There were more changes made in 1914, and changes were made.
Right.
Once again, we are here to try and make a more perfect union. It doesn't come by saying, because of my skin color, that I am evil, and because of your skin color, you're evil, and because of your religion, because you're Jewish, that you're evil. You're not evil.
I'm not evil, but there's certain prejudices that there have been in this country, and
I understand that. I absolutely.
And part of the prejudices have been color, have also been religion.
Yeah, but the problem is when you have the teachers union now reinforcing those prejudices. I don't want my tax dollars going there.
Well, I don't think they're necessarily reinforcing it. They're just not ignoring it.
Wait a minute. How can you say that they're not reinforcing it when they're talking about the fact that the white person is in fact evil, and they are the aggressor?
I don't know.
I don't know. The black person is the victim. He's not the victim. Don't make victims.
Wait, but we just celebrated a holiday, Thanksgiving, right?
Yes.
Which is an American holiday. And, the joke is, what do the Indians think about Thanksgiving? It's that the white man invites us over for dinner, steals our land, and kills us.
Well, you know what? That's a wonderful broad brush on things, okay? And once again, I think that by trying to destroy traditions and what have you, I've read plenty of information about the injustices that took place with the indigenous people, and it's horrific. However, once again, we have certain traditions, and it's not, to cloud those traditions by saying that, and I listened to MSNBC, I am just astounded by the stuff that is coming out of these commentators' mouths. I don't understand. Why is it important, so important to divide America by race? Why?
They're not defining America by races. It's just,
Oh,
I get, again, it's just acknowledging that there are certain racial prejudices in our country that have been in our country. I mean,
you don't need to legalize it. And once again, I think at this point right now, for example, in Greenville, we're not seeing that kind of anger. I for example, went to the restroom in Walmart and was washing my hands, what have you, and a black lady stepped out, was washing her hands, and I was trying to get my towel, my hand towel, and the machine was acting up and what have you. So I got my towel and then I reeled it on out and I leaned over to her and I said, here's a towel for you. And of course I didn't touch the towel because of COVID and all of that. She took the towel. The two of us kind of looked at each other as we were drying our hands. And I said, well, it started, hasn't it? And she looked at me and she says, no kidding, it started. And I said, so you're talking about the Christmas and Thanksgiving craziness? And she said, yep, I am. And I said, and guess what it's going to be all up to? It's up to us ladies to get things organized, is it not? The one thing I found very interesting, that now I'm in South Carolina, that I have made jokes and comments and what have you to a number of different nationalities, being Black, Hispanic, whatever the case may be. Unlike California, in California, when I would make any type of a comment like that, people would look at me and say, do I know you? Is there a problem with you? That's one of the reasons I'm glad to be out of California, because here, for example, in South Carolina, you can have comments as an individual, as a person, and you have an actual person of a different nationality talking back to you as another person. As I say, I've just been very surprised with South Carolina because, of course, South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union. Right. It was Fort Sumter, 300 miles away from here. That's where the Civil War started. And I have to tell you, it's a different situation now. And I think there's a lot to be learned from South Carolina about the mixing of nationalities, the mixing of religions, and the overall across the board acceptance of people as people, because we have got to stop this hammering of one another.
Oh, definitely. But anyway, we're not going to settle this in this half hour because our time is up.
No way, you're kidding.
Yeah, my little beep went beep, 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 beep. Anyway, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. We didn't have a chance to talk about it. By the way, Sunday night is the first night of Hanukkah.
Oh, very nice.
It's very early this year. It's the earliest I've ever seen it. Wow. This is where if you should light your menorah, which is like a candelabra.
Yes.
And basically it celebrates it. I forget what it was, a second temple or something that was.
Well, Fish will know because Fish is also Jewish as well.
So find out about it and let me know.
Okay. And when will Anna and your kids be back?
As a matter of fact, as we talked, I heard the door opening.
Oh, wonderful.
They're back home, but I told her not to come in because we have a show. But they had a marvelous time. I don't know. I'll send you some of the pictures that she sent me.
Please do. I'd love to see them. I'd love to see them.
Country. In the meantime, read the news, find out what socialism is, and let me know, because I think parts of socialism is good. Anyway, I will speak to you next week. I'll speak to you before, but we'll have a show next week and invite our friends.
All righty.
Anyway,
goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. You remember, you're listening to MalcolmPresents.com, Conversations with Deborah, a bi-coastal dialogue. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.